A Search in Vedic India, Chapter 14, Overcoming Conditioning. Next day, when they met Swami, they continued the dialogue on recognition of Swarupam. So, paying attention to the eye awareness is the only way to recognize Swarupam. How long does it take to reach the goal? Asked Albert. A very important question. It varies from person to person depending upon the stage at which one is at the time of inquiring. Do you remember about the 4 seekers who visited my master when I was with him? And how he suggested a different approach to each of them because of their Vasanas from the caste attachment? For a seeker who is ready in all respects, a mere suggestion from the Guru might result in instant recognition of the truth. Depending upon the influence of Vasanas, for some people it could happen in a few minutes, for some in a few days, for others in a few years, and so on. One great saint gave an example to drive this point home. If one's head is pressed into the water and held forcibly there, how desperate would that person be to come out of the water? A seeker must experience similar desperation to recognize the truth. If you put rice in boiling water, it is cooked quickly. But if you put the same rice in cold water and try to cook it, it takes a very long time. Many people who are involved in earning name and fame or in creating wealth may turn to God to have their desires fulfilled. A few people, to protect themselves from unforeseen dangers, resort to worship. Still a few worship God without any desires, admiring His infinite power. Still a few question their true nature about the world they see around, why and how God created this world. Asking questions like this, deviating from the blind belief, is a big step. In the list given above, you are in the last group, and as such Vasanas may not trouble you much. But still, if you are getting thoughts during the practice of eye awareness attention, we should say that it is the effect of Vasanas only, explained Swami in detail. So we have to reduce the Vasanas before starting sadhana. How do we do that, Swami? Asked Albert. Good question. Of all the types of spiritual practices, holding to the eye awareness is the highest approach. It works in 2 ways. Suppose you started your journey from Bangalore to Kaleshwaram. As you progress your journey towards Kaleshwaram, you are also away from Bangalore simultaneously by the same distance. No separate effort is needed to move away from Bangalore. The same thing happens here too, said Swami. When we are holding to the eye awareness, no action is being performed. Then how could it reduce Vasanas? Asked Vimala. Suppose you have the habit of smoking cigarettes. It is nothing but a Vasana. The desire to smoke is nothing but a petrified impression in your mind, which is a Vasana. If you want to give up the habit, you must abstain from smoking first. If you continue to smoke, it would strengthen the habit and would be difficult to give up. Similarly, people who are associated with action-oriented functions like yajnas and yagas, that is, offerings to God through fire, cannot leave them easily. Similarly, if you are born in a family that has the tradition of idol worship, it builds up strong vasanas. It would be difficult for them to give it up if they do not stop thinking about them. If you want to give up smoking, you must stop smoking first. Even if you stop smoking physically, even thinking of it would not help. Unless the intensity of the desire is reduced, it would be difficult to give it up. Now let us see how our eye awareness attention or jnana dhyana would help to reduce or to eliminate vasanas. Till the recent past, there were video recorders and video cassettes. Suppose a video cassette is fully recorded with some films or other matters. If you put a fully recorded cassette in a VCR which is attached to a TV, and if you press the record button, not the play button, keeping the TV screen blank, what happens? While the past recording is erased and at the same time no fresh recording happens as the TV screen is blank. When you hold on to eye awareness for prolonged spells, your vasanas get erased and you would be free from the vasana that you are limited to the body. Then you would see the obvious fact that you are not attached to the body and are infinite, explained Swami. Wonderful. Now I understand the rationality behind the jnana dhyana. The recognition of truth that my awareness is not limited to the body could only be recognized by jnana dhyana and by overcoming the habitual ignorance, said Albert. You should remember that nothing comes afresh and it is only the recognition of an already existing fact. What is your objective? You have to recognize that you are not limited to the body. That means you have to come out of the body. Do not think that it is like a magician trick or a yogic feat. You just have to get the intuitive feeling that you are expansive like space. There is no becoming, it is just being, said Swami. Is there any way to get that feeling? Asked Albert innocently. What is our understanding of your eye awareness? It consists of existence and awareness. You exist and you are aware of your existence. Now let us examine one thing. We also understood that existence is power. You cannot say that it is confined to your body. Power is formless. You look around. Many objects around you exist. In a little distance, trees exist. Stars exist in the sky. Existence, like space, is all pervasive. Existence only exists in all those forms. Just as it exists in your awareness, it exists everywhere. That is what we call Sat. When you are aware of all those existing things, it is implied that your awareness is spread beyond your body. Otherwise, how could you be aware of those objects? Not that your awareness traveled at the time of your watching the objects. It is already spread, being formless. Have you understood? Asked Swami. Yes, sir, said Albert. In this knowledge approach, you have to just investigate, understand, and have an intuitive feeling. The intensity with which you investigate influences your results. Even if you are in worldly activities, this investigation takes priority, and whenever you get the opportunity, you would be investigating the nature of eye awareness. Continuous keen observation would help you someday to recognize that you are always free from the body. You would wonder how you missed the obvious thing, said Swami. I have a doubt, Swami. From where do we get these thoughts? Why do we get them? What could be the reason? Asked Vimala. I thought that I would discuss thoughts in the second stage. The famous Upanishad statement is, you are that. Tat Tvam Asi. That here refers to Brahman. As we had already discussed, that the world and God are an X to us. We started an investigation to recognize Swarupam, which when completed, the X would be solved. Since the thoughts are part of the world, I thought I would take it up in the second stage. However, since you raised the question, I will explain briefly. We understood earlier that your eye awareness consists of two inseparable Sat and Chit, that is, existence and awareness. Do you remember? Asked Swami. Yes, Swami. Like light and heat are not separated from a flame, eye awareness consists of Sat and Chit, said Vimala. That Sat or existence is a dynamic aspect of the eye awareness. Like fire has the intrinsic nature of burning things, Sat has an intrinsic power to appear as thoughts. Just as we cannot trace a reason for the capacity of the fire to burn, here also you cannot find any reason. It is just its nature. We will discuss more in the second stage. If you find your hands chained, you must first think of breaking them first instead of worrying as to how they came. Similarly, you should try to pay attention to the eye awareness, ignoring the thoughts. Yes, Swami, we will practice as you suggested. How do we know whether we are making any progress? Asked Vimala. Without your knowledge, some changes take place. But without any expectations in mind, practice as much as you can to hold to the eye awareness and try to understand its real nature, advised Swami. Albert thought of mentioning the vision of a single eye he noticed in his meditation. On second thoughts, he thought that he would mention it only if it happens a few more times. Since you have some idea as to how to practice, you can stay in the guest house for a few days and practice. Or you can go and come back after a few days, said Swami. No, Swami, we have no other errands. We will stay here for some days and practice. Prem Swarup also suggested the same, said Vimala. Both prostrated to Swami and returned to the guest house.